You can't budget your way out of a money mindset that is deeply rooted in your past. Money Roots by Ally is flipping the script. It's not just about how you manage your money, it's about why you move the way you do. Free virtual workshops, real talk on money, values, love, and legacy. Let go of the shame, build new habits, live how you deserve to. Tap in at ally.com/moneyroots.
I am paging Dr. Chanda.
I am the Dr. Chanda.
And I'm a licensed clinical psychologist.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Paging Dr. Chanda podcast, all things related to the Black culture.
Revolt. The doctor in front of your name.
What's up, family? It is Dr. Chanda. Tune in for another episode of Paging Dr. Chanda. All you have to do is keep watching. But listen, if you're just watching from the outside, just peeking through the window, I need you to commit. Come all the way in the house, and I need you to subscribe, like, and shoot me a comment in the comment section. I love responding to all of your comments. I love listening and reading how much you guys enjoy the topics that I'm talking about. So yeah, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, and join the tribe.
Stop scrolling for 1 second. This month, we are bringing back the Psychology of Black Women, the online class brought to you by yours truly, Dr. Chanda, licensed clinical psychologist. Y'all, I've been getting so many questions about why anxiety and depression presents differently in Black women. What do we do about it? How can we start to combat this? And what are some of the reasonings behind it? Listen, if you are a Black woman who has questions about anxiety and depression, it's something you experience or something your loved ones experience, or if you're a professional who works with Black women who experience anxiety and depression, I promise you this class is for you. Make sure that you sign up today. Hey, what's going on, everybody? You are now tuned in to the Paging Dr. Chanda podcast, where we talk about all things related to mental wellness, the culture, and our faith. I'm your host, Dr. Chanda. I am a licensed clinical psychologist and, you know, everything else that I like to do. Y'all know I like to dabble in this and a little bit of that. But no, I appreciate you for tuning in to yet another episode. If you are listening to this episode, I need you to do me a favor, and I want you to go into wherever you are listening to this podcast, whether it is an Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever else, and I need you to rate and subscribe to the podcast. So rate it a 5-star, leave a little comment, and follow the podcast so that you can be updated for everything that we have going on. In addition to that, make sure that you guys are tuned in to our text community. You can do this by texting podcast to 21000. Again, that's podcast to 21000. It is our little community where we kind of talk and have conversation about some of the things that you guys want to hear about on the podcast. And I'm so appreciative of the voices that I have in there who aren't afraid to say, listen, I want you to talk more about this, or I want you to, hit on that and this, that, and the third, whatever. So I really appreciate it. In addition to that, again, it is Women's History Month. Yeah, excuse the sirens. Y'all know we in Baltimore. But it is Women's History Month. This month, we are highlighting women and things that they are doing in the community. So I'm going to go ahead and they would kind of like pass by the street the moment I hit play. But we're going to highlight a woman who I admire in our Hot Off the Press segment. So y'all know our segment of Hot Off the Press, we are specifically talking about mental health in the news, what we can take from it, and how we can interpret things from the lens of psychology. Because psychology is literally happening all day, every day around us. So it's just a matter of knowing how to conceptualize it and view it from that lens. So I want to highlight a woman making history. Y'all know, friend of the pod, my homegirl, Dr. Afia. She is no stranger to the Paging Dr. Chanda podcast. Y'all know she's been here. She's talked about her work with psychotherapy. She's a Black woman psychologist. She developed psychotherapy, which is a platform or a theory that she created about having an entry point to mental health from stylists and barbers, an entry point to mental health based in Black communities. Y'all know that when we go into the salon, when we go into the barbershop, we don't just have stylists, we don't just have, barbers or what have you. These are people that we talk to about our problems, people that we talk to about, we trust these individuals with advice, right? And so she created psychotherapy to train barbers and stylists and salons on how to have to be responsive in terms of mental health and provide them with like a mental health first aid kit. So that's why she created psychotherapy. But y'all already knew that, right? That's not the news. So if you've been watching the media, if you've been tuning into Extra TV, which highlights like, you know, beauty lifestyle stuff, she was actually featured on there for an event that she had with Maui Moisture. And they announced that Maui Moisture is going to donate $100,000. Whew, I got chills by saying that. Donating $100,000 to psychotherapy to help Dr. Afia with her initiative. And I just want to say shout out to my girl, my sis, my mentor, Dr. Afia and Bilashaka, for developing psychotherapy, for believing in it, and for pushing that to our community. And now to Maui Moisture for promising her these funds to help fund the psychotherapy initiative. And I thought it was just so ironic for this thing just to transpire and unfold in the same week that we're transitioning out of Black History Month and into Women's History Month, because that is Black woman history right there. I don't know if they've ever had some sort of collaboration like that before with another Black woman psychologist, but yeah, it's lit. So I went to the event. Dr. Afia invited me to the New York event. It was at the Maui Moisture headquarters. It was bomb, y'all. I'm still like creating my reel so y'all can get highlights and stuff like that from TikTok and Instagram on my pages there. But it was amazing. They had individuals like, you know, Mai Leek, who's in the natural hair care setting. They had, you know, editors and, you know, CEOs of different like natural hair people, like people who I watch on YouTube. They were there on this panel with Dr. Afia when they had announced that they're donating this $100,000 to her. They had like little hors d'oeuvres. I'm like, oh, this is fancy. Like they had the finger sandwiches. Like, I'm okay, Dr. Afia, we see you. The colors were amazing. Like everything was vibrant and gorgeous. Like everything looked so bomb. I'm so proud of my friend, and it really just shows how. And something that I always drive to my students whenever I'm teaching, I drive to people who want to be in this profession. Look beyond just being in the classroom. If you want to be a psychologist in the classroom, that's fine. If you want to be a psychologist with a private practice or in an office, that's fine. If you want to be a psychologist in a hospital, that's fine. But also don't abandon your passions for psychology. You can merge the two. I know psychologists who work in entertainment and in creative spaces. I know psychologists who work in the beauty industry. I know psychologists who are working, you know, in movie settings, like on TV shows. You don't just have to kind of like fit into some sort of perceived box if you don't want to, right? So me personally, I enjoy being in the classroom. I enjoy being in private practice, and also I enjoy media. I enjoy talking to y'all. I enjoy podcasting. Like I love doing those things. I love, you know, the fact that Dr. Afia has taken over the beauty industry as a psychologist. So for those of you who are wanting to be in the psychology field, you want to be in that realm, again, don't let, you know, this cookie cutter image of what a psychologist is supposed to do or look like, don't let that pigeonhole you into just saying like, well, I guess I got to settle for, you know, just doing X, Y, and Z. No, you can dream big and follow your passions, and you know all the things that you're looking for, the resources, they will find you. When you're focused on your values and your passions, the resources will find you. And so I hope that y'all take that away from this week's Hot Off the Press segment. So we're going to go ahead and transition into this week's topic. This is a topic that was submitted by a listener of the podcast. And I truly enjoy when y'all submit your questions and suggestions regarding what you want addressed in our specific topic. So today's topic, we are talking about how to identify a toxic relationship, identifying toxic friendships, identifying toxicity in relationships with one another. Granted, I am a firm believer that sometimes we tend to overuse words on social media, such as, you know, gaslighting, narcissism, toxic, like all those things tend to be overused, right? But so it's important for us to have a thorough understanding of what we mean by a toxic friendship. And I appreciate the person who submitted this suggestion, but I just wanted to define it really quickly. So, and when an individual is involved in a toxic friendship, we are talking about a friendship that we're essentially saying that friendship is then harmful to that person. It's no longer, you can be in a relationship that's no longer serving you, but it's not toxic, if that makes sense. You can have a longtime friend that you feel like the relationship is no longer reciprocal, but it doesn't mean it's toxic. If we're saying that a relationship is toxic, we are essentially talking about being in a harmful, detrimental relationship marked by conflict or negative patterns of interaction. Like we're talking about that when we say toxic friendships. So I just wanted to kind of lay that foundation so that we all can be aware of and be on the same page with what it means to be a toxic or to be in a toxic relationship. But just to kind of give you guys the background, looking at when doing some research on this specific topic, I found some significant.
Have you ever spotted McDonald's hot, crispy fries right as they're being scooped into the carton? And time just stands still.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Research findings regarding what being in a toxic friendship can do to an individual. And granted, I've realized that we are in the era of social media where people think that doing research means you hit Google. But I'm a psychologist. When I say I do research, we're looking at peer-reviewed articles, beloved. We're not just taking the word of Wikipedia and other things. So looking at peer-reviewed articles, there was a study published in the Journal of Social and Professional Relationships, and they found that individuals who had high levels of conflict and negativity in their friendships reported higher levels of depression and anxiety. Higher levels of depression and anxiety. So these individuals who were in these harmful, detrimental relationships, they impacted their overall mental health and impacted their anxiety levels, their depressive symptoms. All these things were impacted. There was another study published in another journal, and they found that individuals who were in toxic friendships reported higher levels of stress and lower levels of life satisfaction. So not only did the toxic relationship impact that specific relationship, but it also impacted the individual's overall life satisfaction. How they were experiencing life overall was being impacted by the toxicity in this relationship. And this is why it is so important for us to audit our relationships. I am a firm believer that just because you have longevity in a relationship doesn't necessarily mean that it is a beneficial relationship. It doesn't mean that it is a helpful relationship. It doesn't mean that it is a healthy relationship. We have to constantly audit our relationships. Just like, April is coming up, we're going to be auditing, we're going through our expenses and going through taxes and business transactions. We have to go through our relational transactions too. Otherwise, we might be stuck in harmful, toxic relationships without even realizing it because we have a tendency to normalize things simply because we find them just repetitive. It's something that we're used to. We tend to normalize things that we're used to. We tend to see things that are normalized as though it is adaptive, right? Just because I normalized it does not mean that it is adaptive. If you notice that that your relationships, your friendships are high in conflict, they're no longer serving you, then you are allowed to set boundaries with those individuals. You don't have to stay in those relationships. So some of you might be wondering, okay, we talked about how toxic relationships can impact you on a mental health level. Yeah, I kind of knew that already. But also, how do you identify if a relationship is toxic? Friend, I am so glad you asked that because that is something that we need to review today, okay? So go ahead, take out your pens and your notebooks. Class is in session. So thinking about toxic relationships, toxic friendships, and what that means to us, of course, it can be challenging to identify, okay, what's toxic versus what's just, that's just my friend, or, that's just how they are. That's just their personality, right? We tend to say that about a lot of people. Oh, that's just how that person is. That's just, that's just how they are. But here's how we can identify if a friendship is toxic. And this is according to the research published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships. So according to this article, it says that one of the signs of a toxic friendship is feeling drained after spending time with that friend. Feeling drained after spending time with that friend. Now, granted, we all have to be mindful that it may not always be our friends that makes us feel drained, right? I always say to my friends, listen, y'all, If we going out the country, we're going on vacation, I'm good after 3 to 4 days. After that, I'm going back to the States. Like, I'm going back home. Only because I know that my social battery gets drained after about a good 3 days of group activities. After that, I'm good. And it has nothing to do with my friends. They're great. They're, fun. They're, we can relax together. That's great. But I know my social battery, and it don't be there all the time. So when kind of like looking at this specific thing, we're not necessarily saying that we feel drained because of our own type of social battery, or we feel drained because of our own things that we have going on. But we're saying we feel drained because of this other person, because of how they might make us feel, right? If you feel as though, if I have to prepare to be around this person, if I have to kind of like prepare myself mentally, if I got to get prayed up in my prayer closet just to spend time with my friend, is it a toxic relationship? Like, what are we doing, beloved? Like, do you have to like work yourself up just to be around this person? So that's one sign that we have of identifying a toxic relationship, feeling drained after spending time with that person. Sign number 2, feeling like you have to constantly walk on eggshells around them. We're going to let that one marinate. Because I believe sometimes we tend to normalize this type of functioning in a relationship, right? We tend to normalize like, oh, that's just my friend. I just gotta, watch what I say around them, or I have to walk on eggshells. You never know how they're going to respond. You never know, what's going to tick them off. But is that someone who you want in your space? Now, granted, if you function like that, that's fine if you don't have a problem with it. But me, myself, personally, I don't want to feel like I'm walking on eggshells around anybody. I want to be able to show up as authentically me without feeling like I have to restrain myself or say certain things in a perfect way, right? My profession is basically around being able to present myself and to hold space for my clients, right? So they're a professional individual of however you identify as, a professional psychologist. Of course, there's going to be some level of restriction to like what you say to your clients and the things that you say versus the things that you don't say. So if I already find myself having to restrict myself in this one area, when I'm around my friends, like I want to be authentically me, and you can't blame me for that. But I refuse to be in any sort of friendship where I feel like I have to be, like I have to put on that, I have to filter what I say and what I don't say in the same way that I do in the professional setting. Like we're not doing that. In 2023, like a lot of y'all need to free yourselves from that. Like it's not healthy. So let's just move on from that. Number 3, feeling like they're always putting you down. Feeling like they're always putting you down. Like, is this the type of friend that's constantly telling you things that you're doing wrong, or things that, that you should improve on in terms of like appearance, or, how you made your mannerisms. Like, granted, it's great to have friends who can say like, hey, it might benefit you if you were to work on X, Y, and Z. I love those types of friends. I'm here for constructive criticism. But if it's just criticism and it's constant and there's no like constructive nature around it, beloved, you're toxic. Like, I don't know how else to define that. Like, this is no longer a beneficial relationship to me, right? So it's important for us to identify that. And lastly, feeling like they're never happy for you and your accomplishments. Feeling like they're never happy for you and your accomplishments. So with this specific category, this is the friend who you say, hey, girl, I got a raise. Hey, girl, I got a promotion. Hey girl or bro, like I got this new position at work, I got this new contract, and they're like, oh, okay. Like that should be a red flag right there. That should be a red flag. Because anytime you have someone in your friend circle who is happy for you and who's excited about your future, who wants to see you win, they're going to be excited about the things that you have going on. You shouldn't have to tiptoe around news that you want to tell your friend, right? It shouldn't work like that. There should be a certain level of vulnerability that you should be able to offer your friends. I know there are certain accomplishments that I feel like, I can't share on social media, right? I feel like there are certain things, like, okay, so last year, the end of last year, I had a financial accomplishment. I'm like, yeah, I don't feel comfortable sharing this on social media. Let me take it to the group chat, right? And I knew because I have a safe space of friends who won't respond in a toxic way, I know that they would be just as happy for me as I would be for them if they said X, Y, and Z. And it's reciprocal. They can come to me with news, right? So, you know, one of my best friends, they just got a new apartment. Another best friend bought a new home. Another, one of my really good friends, she got a new position at a Toyota in Nashville. Like, I legit love to see my friends winning and excelling in life, period. And that's how it should be. But if you're in a position where you feel as though your friends are not cheering you on, then it might be time to consider a different group of friends. Because why are we dealing with like the bare minimum in friendships in 2023? Like, you know, we're too grown for this. We're too grown for this. So if
you can't budget your way out of a money mindset that is deeply rooted in your past. Money Roots by Ally is flipping the script. It's not just about how you manage your money, it's about why you move the way you do. Free virtual workshops, real talk on money, values, love, and legacy. Let go of the shame, build new habits, live how you deserve to. Tap in at ally.com/moneyroots.
If you went through these signs, and I'm gonna just review them just for the sake of understanding and clarity. So some of the signs of a toxic friend include feeling drained after you spend time with them, feeling like you have to constantly walk on eggshells, and feeling like they're always putting you down and they're never happy for your accomplishments. Again, we got this from the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships. Then your friend, beloved, might be kind of toxic. And when we say toxic, we're talking about being harmful. And then that's when we need to start learning and identifying ways to set boundaries or ending relationships with toxic friends. Like I said before, just because friendships have longevity, just because there's longevity in relationships, does not mean that it is a healthy and adaptive relationship. We have to learn how to decipher the two. So I hope that y'all hear me. Part 2, we're going to be talking about ways to set boundaries with toxic friends. I felt like this was a lot of it wasn't a lot of information, but it was heavy information. And, you know, I just want y'all to ponder a bit and think about your relationships. Come back next week and we're going to talk about what we do, like the next step of that, how we set boundaries. So make sure y'all are tuning into the podcast. And don't forget, you have the power to create the emotions that you want to experience. God bless. See y'all next week.
Have you ever spotted McDonald's hot, crispy fries right as they're being scooped into the carton? And time just stands still. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.